I had this dream. I'd been asked to help with a church, and I looked around the place where it was supposed to be located, and I had my own vision of what it should look like. There were all of these beautiful trees and flowers around the area where they wanted to build the church. So I said, wow, what if they had a tree church? You see, one of the pastors that I was spiritually connected to before being asked this actually did his ministry in trees. He was from California. He would go up into the tops of the trees and would do tree ministry. Other people would also tree climb with him. He was known to actually give wedding vows and perform weddings in the tops of the California redwoods. I didn't meet him. He passed away before I met him. I met some of his brothers in the cloth. But when I'm there and they're asking me for help with this church, I start thinking about a tree church. Not a church in the trees, but that there would be these big, huge trees with these big trunks. And it was almost as if the root structure of the trees or the branches of the trees would open up, and the church would organically be construct itself almost within the trees that were from the community. And I would dream about it, and there would be these vines almost entwined around the branches. There would be windows in certain places. There would be benches. There would be the altar at the front. It wouldn't be a very, very large church, but considering the strength of the trunks of these trees, it would be a very durable one. Later, I'm somewhere else besides this community, and I have a dream. And in this dream, I'm walking through a colonnaded building, white walls, almost like a marble floor, a double winding staircase going up to the next level. And on either side are almost like shrines. They told me, this is your temple, and we've given you this peach dress. What? Yes, we're giving you this temple, and this is your peach dress. I said, wow, that's completely different than what I thought this was supposed to be. Less than a week later, I'm in the city, near the coast. We drive into the parking lot. I walk into the mall, and there it is. There's a display area where they have various kinds of discussions, presentations, and then there's the double staircase. And on either side of the double staircase at the top is a branch of a bank. I think somebody misunderstood. Right? After this, I'm in Chicago. I'm at the library. I'm looking through some old maps. I'm looking through some microfiche, some treaties. They have these books that are green with gold writing. They're assessments of areas around the world. They don't have the green books with the gold writing in Texas. They have the blue books with the gold writing in Texas. Very different blue books versus green books, right? But around that time, there were these two books I found one day. There were actually three, but I avoided the third one. These other two books called out to me. One of them was called the what was it called? The Partnership. A partnership. It was a story of four men who had created what they called a partnership around de-escalation of conflict scenarios in an understanding of the profound responsibility they had with nuclear security. This concept that when it came to nuclear safety, that it was the most important thing on the table, and everything else was evaluated as to what were the appropriate priorities around assuring against an escalation into a nuclear conflict. Now, the ironic thing is one of these people had written a biography. I used to have it in my bathroom. This is thing I did. I had a library of more than 2,000 books of all kinds of topics, usually political history. I had a whole Civil War collection, a collection of the American Civil War, some of it acquired by dubious means for an appropriate reason. Others were donated to or put on the street, so to speak, left for free outside of a library as surplus. I had an entire library collection, you could say, of more than 1,000 books on topics related to what was presented in surplus that was left on the street. Very comprehensive. But I also had a few key tomes that were biographies of people that I considered to be my enemy, and I kept them in the head. I had a little cabinet I kept in the bathroom, and on top of that cabinet, I kept about 10 books at any given time that were biographies of these people. And one of those people that had a biography featured in my special collection in the head was a member of the partnership. I didn't know this until that day when I found that book. But I said to myself at the time, I'm a homeless woman on the streets. I came to this city specifically to talk to people and attempt to reevaluate some things that happened historically that I understand differently than I understand they understand. And yet we're in a very important moment right now where we have to get over our egos and we have to address these historical issues in order to prevent or preclude against what I am concerned will be happening. I am not the kind of person that needs to be studying books regarding nuclear security. So I went to another book. And it was a book about women warriors, including women warriors that were in a position of leadership. It was written by a man in a very specific way of presenting things. I opened the book. What's the first thing I opened to? It is about a queen named Palmyra. The story, as I recall, was very unique. It disturbed me. My understanding was that Palmyra had a husband who was also a great warrior. And they went to battle together. And they fought and were actually very successful. But during a very key battle, he ended up dying. And in the course of the campaign, her army ended up being overcome. After this happened, Palmyra was taken outside of what was rightfully the land of her people, sent to a city that was considered to be very important in the realm of the conqueror, and spent the end of her life sharing with them her military prowess while she taught battle tactics to the children of the opposition. This was over 5 years ago. Who the fuck do you think you are? Did you just decide to do away with the partnership? I was on the streets for nearly 4 years, and the people who had scads of money and apparently children to deal with nuclear security just didn't do it. I'm not your Palmyra. You're never going to see me dressed in this again.